Hello. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Fine, sir. Fine. What about you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you. We'll start in 5
Okay.
minutes.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Thank you. Very good afternoon to all of you. I welcome all of you in the batch 2 of International Faculty Development Program on 50 plus ways of teaching learning process. I hope that I am audible to all of you.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you so much. So let us start with the today's session.
Sure, sir.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Let me welcome once again to all of you present here for the batch 2 of International Faculty Development Program on the subject 50 plus ways of teaching learning process. And in this particular international FGP, our effort should be to touch upon the different processes connected with the teaching learning. And I hope that these processes can be used irrespective of the level of education, whether it is a primary, secondary, or higher education. However, the focus remains on tertiary level, the higher education level. Now, fundamentally, this particular FDP is conceptualized based on the book Teaching Learning Process in Management Education, which was authored by me in the year of 2009 and published by ICFA University Press. Therein, we touched upon different areas and contemporary processes like your project-based learning. We have learning management software, massive online open courses, so on and so forth. So we'll go one by one and touch upon all the areas. And before I proceed, I sent in the chat box one message that Zoom has only 40 minutes. After that, the session will expire. So I have already opened up one Google Meet. I request all of you to please come back so that the most interesting part of any program is the interaction wherein all of us can learn together, the collective learning. I request please join back. By learning, you will teach, and by teaching, you will learn. In fact, if we look at, we have seen, and as a teacher, we have practiced many times during our classroom interaction. We tell the teachers to come and teach, okay, to other students, especially the start students, because teaching is the best way wherein we can learn And I believe that as a teachers, all of us are the best learners. In fact, it is rightly said, there is nothing like teaching. It's all about learning. And this learning continues. It's the lifelong learning. As long we live, we learn a lot of new things every day. And most of the learning happens from our real-time experiences along with the books and the literature and the knowledge resources which are available to all of us. Now, the bigger question is, as a teacher, there's a beautiful quote, mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the best head of them all? Now, as a teachers, all of us, our efforts are to ensure that whatever we teach, students understand and grasp those concepts. But we see that eventually not all the students in a class of 40, 50, or 60 strength, they understand at the same space, because the class is highly heterogeneous, right? And one size fits all strategy does not work out well. That's why what do? We identify the students. There are different mechanisms wherein we identify the students as a star students, as a gifted student, then as moderate or average learners and the slow learners. And we all know that we have developed mechanisms like remedial classes, tutorials for the slow learners, and we have the follow-up counseling and the mentoring sessions on a regular basis wherein we try to address the slow learners. So there is no best way to teach everybody in a class of 40, 50 strength. We need to identify the slow learners and the average learners and try to ensure that end of the session, there is holistic development, or all of the students come to a common platform of understanding. I think that's very, very important. Why teachers teach but students don't learn? We call it, no, who is the elephant in the classroom? We teach but students don't learn. Many times we have experienced that. Okay, so how we can ensure that all the students they learn, how we can personalize the learning process? I know that we cannot highly personalize, like for each student we cannot customize a curriculum and a teaching pedagogy and cater to that particular needs. But definitely what we can do, we can develop a mechanism wherein we can understand, or we can ensure that all the students know, they more or less understand the concepts well. I think that's very, very important. And that's the crux of the today's international FDP, wherein we'll try to ensure that our expected outcome, whatever we have mentioned in the lesson plan or the teaching plan, that is obtained at the end of the course. I think that's very, very important. And this is a very common picture. And we all have must have come across this particular picture, that, what is that, not working in the education, because we have the common things for everybody, irrespective of their ability to learn. Having said that, we cannot have highly personalized, customized learning tools also for each student. So we need to develop certain mechanisms wherein we can ensure that all the students in the class, they understand the concepts well and they come out successful in their lives. I think that's very, very important. It's not corporatization of education. I think today, if we look at newspaper or any magazine, or the common discussion thread is, okay, industry institute gap, right? Whatever industry is looking for, institution is not able to cater to those needs. That's why there are different studies wherein it is claimed that only 10% engineers are employable, only 15% management graduates are employable today. What is the major challenges? The major challenges are, say, industry, especially if I talk about the present time, in this unprecedented time, when the industry bounce back, okay, we are slowly in the process of normalization. The industry is under pressure in terms of their financial performance, and industry will look for the candidates who can cater their needs from the day one. There is no benching, no training. because industry cannot spend that kind of amount. So what industry will look for? They will look for the finished product, the students who can deliver from the day one. Okay, so to ensure that as a teachers or institutions, we need to ensure that students skill up, enhance their skill sets and abilities during their programs, 2 years or 4 years or 3 years, whatever the program durations. They learn those concepts, they develop those skill sets, and they're able to put those in practice. I think that's very, very important. Having said that, there are many educationists, many experts, they think that this is too much of corporatization. Is it not? Education, the main purpose of education is not to meet the demands of the corporate. That's a byproduct. Every one of us needs a job at the end of our academic journey, is it not? To our livelihood. But having said that, we should not be narrowly focused only to develop those skill sets. I think that's a major drawback. Then in that case, what will happen? The institutions will become just placement centers, right? So we need to ensure the bigger purpose of education is met, right? The bigger purpose of education is met. What is the bigger purpose of education? To create good human beings, to develop values, to develop morals of the students, to develop their conceptual, analytical, fundamental skill sets, to ensure 360-degree holistic development. But corporate look at their productivity and the bottom line connected with their profitability. So they want sorry, specific skill sets to cater to their needs. So we cannot convert into a placement cell kind of things wherein we just give those skill sets which are needed by the corporate to fulfill their needs. If we look at the no gaps, industry institute gaps, these gaps will continue. Even if we develop the curriculum every now and then, we have dynamic syllabus, everything given, but this gap will continue to remain because industry changes very fast. Every day you will find out there are new concepts, new things. Can we ensure that students learn all those concepts? No, but we can ensure that their learnability is enhanced. There is one skill set as per the World Economic Forum, right? If the student possesses that particular skill sets, then that student can be employable lifetime, and that's the learnability, ability to learn first, because skill changes so fast. The candidates needs to develop those skill sets. Do they have that kind of ability to learn fast or not? So learnability, to develop the learning abilities of the students, what we need to do in the campus, I think that's very important. We need to give the fundamental thoughts, okay, the conceptual clarity, the technical clarity, analytical skills. I think these decision making skills, the leadership skills, the communication skills, I think these skills are very, very important, which enable the students to learn any particular tools and techniques very, very fast. I think that's why there are many experts who say that it is too much of corporatization of education, and we need to have, definitely we need to have a balance of it to ensure that we create good human beings. At the same time, we are able to fulfill the needs of the corporate so that they are suitably employed at the end of their programs. Formal education versus skill. Now, before the pandemic, the Google and Ernst and Young, and there are some other companies which have waived off educational qualification from the eligibility criteria. They look for whether the incumbents have the skill sets or not, whether they're able to cater to the needs or not. They may get a postgraduate students, but who does not have the skill sets to meet their requirements. So what is the use for them? There is no use, so they waived off this kind of no qualifying criteria to appear for the interview. That's why it is said that skill comes from action, right? And the education, formal education, most of the things is like data processed information. It's kind of knowing. That's why there is a beautiful philosophy of knowing, doing, and being. First, we need to know, then we need to do, we need to apply, then being. We need to behave like a professional so that every time given a situation, we are able to cater or perform a particular task or job. That's very, very important. But if we can have these two things together, embedded in the education, the skills and the formal education, which is data and processed information. So definitely, I think that's the best combination what we can have. That's why today so much focus on no project, in-plan training, mini project, hands-on project, project-based learning, the laboratory sessions. There is so much focus on the doing part because that's very, very important. Education versus learning. The individuals may be educated, but many times, no, they may not learn the concepts well because education is mostly curriculum driven, extrinsic, and passive, but learning is active. What I said before, it comes from the doing, from the hands on practice, from the application part. It's intensive. But our effort should be to ensure that education and learning both go hands in hand so that we ensure that students achieve the expected outcome from a particular course. The rise of micro credential. I think today everyone is talking of this. If you look at edX and Coursera, they are also coming with hundreds of certification programs. In India, also we have Udemy, an academy, okay, and there are so many other good organizations which get a lot of certification programs as a part of that skill development initiatives. So these are the micro credentials. So many candidates or many individuals now at this difficult time may not opt for their full-fledged UG or PG programs. They may go for certain micro-credential, area-specific niche area wherein they can develop their skill sets and probably they can join the corporate and at least earn their livelihood for next 1 or 2 years. Then again come back to academics to pursue their academic interest. That may be the case because this is a very difficult time. Other day it was there in the newspaper in Punjab. Many students from economic distressed families, they are leaving their private schools because of the higher fees and they are joining the public schools. See the trend. And many no parents are not able to no pay the fees for the students. So this is indeed a very, very difficult time. And we know there are many teachers also, okay, who are having tough time. And it was reported in newspaper in Hyderabad. Some teachers know they are doing the daily laborer job to earn their livelihood. So things are not that rosy at the present difficult time. But however, at this time, we need to ensure that we develop our skill sets, we prepare ourselves well, we ensure that students develop their skill sets. They have the open mind, okay, find out the new areas wherein they can get jobs. New areas in the sense there are certain sectors wherein there is a good prospects like the financial and the insurance sector, the technology sectors, the healthcare sectors. These are the booming sectors post-pandemic area. So definitely, and digital marketing, always there will have good demand because conventional marketing, okay, is at low space because of this pandemic session. So there are areas wherein no students can develop their skill sets, or as a teachers, we can inspire them to identify those areas and build their skills, okay, so that once things comes to normalcy, they can get into the corporate sector. Knowledge versus wisdom. We know this, okay. What is the difference among data information, knowledge, and wisdom. Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to use it in a smooth. And wisdom comes after a lot of experiences, life experiences, with dealing with the different situations. STEM, there was a good demand, no, maybe no in the recent times, the science, technology, engineering, and management programs. But today we see that there is a demand of the arts, the liberal arts. That's why we have mentioned it STEAM, STEAM, liberal arts. And AICT has given permission that engineering colleges can start the social sciences program also side by side in the same campus. And today we're talking about another E that's called entrepreneurship, right? Whether we start our business or not, but every individual today needs to become an entrepreneur in the sense they must become entrepreneurial, very, very creative in whatever we do. As a teacher, we can be teacherpreneur, we can be highly creative, and we can definitely, we can deliver in the class, we can engage the students in a better way. At the same time, we can carry out various extension activities, because today's unprecedented time has opened up lot of opportunities as well for all of us. If today one individual has the skill sets and the potential to cater, I think using webinar platform, that person can cater a particular consulting project or conduct a program abroad anywhere in the world. I think that's the beauty. And this is going to stay here for a longer time. Whatever people may criticize, whatever people may say about the webinar or the online platform, but this is going to be the new normal and this is going to stay. Let us accept it. Regulation is a different aspect altogether. I'm not talking about what regulatory bodies are talking about. I am talking about the industry. I am talking about the trend, the wave, the new wave, what is flowing across the world. So today there is no divide. There is no geographical divide. There is no better institutions and not so good or poor institutions. Everything, technology is the biggest leveler. There is nobody is so great professor or great technocrats or whatever we may call it. Any person from a rural area, if that person has the highly skilled or skill sets in a certain areas, that person can sell his ideas and thoughts using the technology platform, and there is no barrier to it. And let me confess that this is the perfect way to look forward in the coming days. And World Economic Forum, they have given one a note in a research finding that by 2050 there will be a new category of professionals who will be the freelancers, the consultants, based on their expertise and the skill sets. They will work in their own terms in a highly flexible environment, and they can cater to the needs anywhere across the world. I think that's the beauty. That's the beauty. This is going to stay. Even we come back to normalcy, this will stay. Now, if we look at the teaching learning process, typically the teaching learning process is a black box concept. There is input, there is a process, is the black box, which from outside no one can see it, and there is output, which is tangible. Output is the students, their performance, and the input, the teachers, the staff, and the students. So many times we may not have any control on the inputs because we need the students for the sustenance of the institutions. But however, there are certain parameters are fixed in terms of interview, written test, quiz, so that we can identify the students, categorize them, profile them, so that we can develop our teaching learning process for different able or slow learners separately. I think that's some activities or experiment we can do in the input level. But in the process level, which is the black box, which no one from the outside can experience it except the teachers. I think teachers are the main players. Teachers are the heart and the soul. They are the software. If the teachers are competent, if their interests are taken care, I strongly believe that any institutions bound to excel. And there is a beautiful quote: no institution, quality of any institution cannot be better than the quality of its teachers. And I truly agree that, because teachers, they are the pivotal, they are the critical success factor in the whole process of teaching learning. Now, in this particular classroom process, what we can do, we can develop, because it is connected with the human. So anything connected with the human, there is ample opportunities, possibilities for all of us to develop new methods, new tools, new techniques to engage the classes. Now we have termed this particular FDP 50 plus ways of teaching learning process. In fact, 50 is just an indicative number. We can have hundreds of different teaching learning processes to engage the students in the classroom effectively. If we just go through, I'll share this particular PPT in the WhatsApp group for all of us to go through. The self-directed learning. Swami Vivekananda has rightly said that education is the self-manifestation. And there are different studies. There is a beautiful study, The Class in the Cloud, in early 2000 by Professor Swagata Mitra in Mumbai slums, wherein he gave some laptops, computer terminals to the students, illiterate students, and let them play with them. And what he could find out at the end, that all of them are able to handle the computers well, able to learn from the computer. So that was the famous study known as Class in the Cloud, which we are experiencing now. So based learning happens in a self-directed, the self-paced learning, right? I think that we should encourage, inspire the students to learn, okay, from their, of their own. I think that's the best way we can be the mentors or the facilitators for the course. Learning through play. In management programs, we have the role play. Okay, it's very popular. Through play, or we call it, activity-based learning. The scenario-based learning. We can give a particular situation to the students, and we can tell the students to explain, to narrate this particular scenario. And through that, they develop their analytical skills and the fundamental skills. We have that game-based learning. Gamification is very, very popular. And in management, we have management games. Even in engineering and other programs also, we have the simulation laboratories in the colleges when a lot of games are played. And it's very effective way of teaching learning. Project-based learning, PBL, I think that's becoming very, very popular, wherein students are given a lot of small projects based on each lesson plan, and they need to work out on that in a group or individually and come out and present their project. I think that's beautiful activity-based or hands-on learning, peer-to-peer instructions. I think students, we can make them peer group. We can form peer group. One star students can be tagged with slow learners and they can learn from each other. The star students can mentor to the slow learners. I think that's also a very effective way to ensure that the students, they learn. School to school interaction using Skype in classroom, for example. Here we're talking about, like today it has become very popular using Skype or webinar or technology based or different learning management softwares, wherein we can cater to the needs of the students. Learning through projects. Once again, we have multiple projects in engineering, even in MBA programs, okay, wherein students need to work for the projects for stipulated time and come out with the project report. The problem-based learning, I think that's also another way wherein we can encourage the students to solve the problems and learn the concepts well. Challenge-based learning, give the tough questions, give the critical discussion questions, Give the internet-based questions, wherein give the questions which is library-based, wherein students need to go to library and go through, at least hundreds of literature, journals, or books and come out with, the presentations. Inquiry-based learning. Okay, the base purpose of education to create inquisitiveness. So there must be some kind of inquiry-based learning, wherein students need to put their efforts to find out the cause effect of certain phenomena. That's also very important. Mobile learning today has become very, very popular because of the this online learning, mobile-based streaming, mobile-based learning applications. We have the Byju's mobile applications, the Khan Academy, the most popular. Okay, the applications, the technology-based applications, that is very, very popular. We have the gamified learning, what I was talking about, the gamification. Then we have the cross-cultural projects. Now we can have in the interactive section, we can have more of interactions. I'm going fast because we have few minutes left in the Zoom. I request all of you to please join back in the Google Meet. I have sent the link in the chat. Please kindly copy that link. Then we have the reciprocal teaching, flipped class learning. We have today flipped class learning. Okay, that becomes flipped classrooms, very, very popular. Face-to-face driver blended learning. What we do in the conventional modes, along with that, some internet-based or technology-based learning, which is very, that's why it is, I will say that blended learning is the future of the learning. Massive online open courses, what edX, Coursera, Udemy, Unacademy, they are catering to. Competency-based learning, based on individual competency, we can ensure more of personalized learning are delivered to the students. Question-based learning, you can ask the questions to the students and find out their understanding level. I think that's, and some places I've seen that the teachers ask the students to frame the questions at the end of the session. The framing questions are very tough. Until students know the answer of the questions, I think they can't frame the questions. That's also a part of the question-based learning. The debate, discussion, the brainstorming, these are very popular. Mock trial, we have the mock sensex, is it not? Then mock UN courts are very popular in the law programs. Non-academic video, academic questioning. I think video is very popular, and many teachers today, they're uploading their video in YouTube and asking students to go through that video. I think it's very, very popular. The pre-recorded video is very popular as a tool for teaching learning. And of course, the seminar and symposiums. A lot of student seminars, students paper presentations. We can have the innovation clubs. Okay, so a lot of things we can add on with this particular list. Now, having said that, what I would like to include with this list, that we should have a lot of club activities. I think most of the business schools, okay, we have the 4 different aspects. One is curricular. Curricular parts is taken care. We have the extracurricular, that is also. Then co-curricular programs, co-curricular activities. We can have a lot of things we can include in terms of value-added certification courses. Today, then we have the beyond the curriculum. Beyond the curriculum means which is not there, something very innovative. We can have one innovation club for the students. We can have one literature club for the students, just to engage their interest level. So a lot of things can be done. Today we're talking about outcome-based education. As per the Washington Accord, okay, we need to have outcome-based education, and MHRD has clearly given that announcement, that direction by 2021, all institutions must have the OB curriculum. In the outcome-based education curriculum, what we are looking for, we're looking for 2 skill sets at the end of the program. One is generic skills in terms of their understanding, communication, personality, leadership skills, the decision-making skills. And the second one is the specific skills. For each particular program, it is engineering, computer science, there will be certain specific skills, the day 1 skills, which we call it. For MBA program, there will be certain day 1 skills. So at the end of the program, do you does the students have those skill sets or not? And to do that, there is a scientific process. I'm sure that all of us know about the program education objective, program objective, course objective, learning outcomes, and we do a matrix with the evaluation techniques. And at the end, we come out with the generic skill sets and the day 1 specific skill sets. Now, in that particular, the process, the scientific process about outcome-based education, it's a very, very scientific, wherein we can quantify the students' performance at the end, and we can ensure that students know whether they are employable or not. And in the process, the black box, the classroom, the teaching learning process. I think therein there is ample scope wherein we can develop a lot of new tools and techniques, a lot of new methods to engage the students. I think that's the beauty. So this Bloom's taxonomy, I think, complete that OBE. If you look at outcome-based education, okay, the bottom line is the Bloom's taxonomy. So our efforts should be on the top. That's to create, produce new or original work. The bottom is the remember. So you have to move from the remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, create. So in the evaluation techniques, we should develop the questions in a certain way which satisfy all the 6 levels. I think this Bloom's taxonomy is the bottom line of the outcome-based educations, and we need to ensure. That's why we said it's pedagogy, andragogy, and the pedagogy. Pedagogy is the basic for the school level. Andragogy is for the higher education, wherein we focus on why, and heutagogy is why not. That's the creativity level. The top level of the Bloom's taxonomy. Now, since briefly I have explained this particular FGP, because we are coming short of time, in 1 or 2 minutes, I think our Zoom session will expire. And the best part would be to have lot of interactive sessions, a lot of question answer sessions at the end of sorry, at the end of this particular presentation. Now I'll request all of you, we have less than 1 minute to continue this particular, and I'll request all of you to let's come back to meet and let us continue because this session is I think so I'll request all of you to please come back to Google Meet. I've just sent you the link. I'm sending once again. Please save this link and let's come back to Google Meet. Thank you so much for your presence in Google. So let us continue the session in the Google Meet. Thank you so much once again, because the session has come to an end. The Zoom session is coming. Thank you once again here. So let's join at Zoom.